This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello students, I'm Dr. Divya from TeenEinstein. So we are into the third part of chapter 14, ecosystem. So in today's class, we are going to discuss about energy flow. In the last class, we were discussing about uh, productivity, then ecosystem structure, then function, and how things are working in the ecosystem. Then we were learning about decomposition. All these things we were learning in we have already learned in the last class. Then in today's class, energy flow, we are going to discuss how energy is flowing. So you know that energy flow, that is a sequential process. It is happening, or it is working in a sequence. So that movement of energy in an ecosystem, that is through a series of organisms. It's not a direct movement from one organism to another organism. It's moving, or it is a flow of energy, that is a sequential process. So which is the source of that energy? Here, solar energy or sun, that is the source, main source of energy for all ecosystem on this earth. So on earth, you can see solar energy, that is the most important or the main energy source, that is the one and only energy source for all ecosystem on this earth. But in the case of deep sea, there we cannot say that sun is the source of energy. Okay, so deep sea hydrothermal ecosystem, there we cannot say that solar energy is there. So first, the on earth we can say the main energy source or the source of energy, that is sun. So here, that source of energy, first, that solar energy, that is 100%, that solar energy, then incidence solar energy that will come to this earth. Then what happens here? You can see plants here, by using this solar energy, that will plants will produce, or here the photosynthesis that is taking place, right? By using the solar energy, producers, they are the plants are producing, they are producing another type of energy, right? Then here also some kind of energy loss will be there. When energy is getting transformed, the solar energy is getting transformed in the form of food with the help of producers or plants, there some kind of energy loss is there. Means around 45 to 48 percentage of energy it is getting, or that much energy is getting wasted there. Almost less than 50% is getting wasted. Then these plants will capture that energy, that is for photosynthesis, right? Then in the case of plants, when they are doing that photosynthesis, that time also respiratory loss will be there. That is around maximum, it's 1 to 1.5 percentage, that respiratory loss. Then the solar energy, what and all we can see these from this chapter, you will get MCQs. So from this portion and all, like this, the wastage of energy, it is almost this percentage. And how the solar energy, when it is coming to the producers or plants, the wastage is around, or it is less than 50 percentage, we said. So that kind of MCQs you will get from this part. Okay. Then source of energy. So less than 50 percentage, that is where when it is coming to the producers level, it is getting wasted. Then of the incident solar radiation, less than 50 percentage, this is the important point, less than 50 percentage of the photosynthetically active radiation. Okay. Photosynthetically active radiation, this PAR, photosynthetically active radiation. Then plants will capture only 2 to 10 percentage of that photosynthetically active radiation, or from that incident one. Here you can see 2 to 10 percentage from this photosynthetically active radiation. Plants, how much they'll capture? 2 to 10 percentage only they will capture. Okay. Then another point is, uh, roughly we can say that 20 percentage of that is consumed in respiration. Okay. So the net primary productivity, that is around 0.8 to 4 percentage of the incident radiation. Okay. Incident radiation. Incident radiation means this one, this incident radiation. From that net primary productivity is 0.8 to 4 percentage of that incident radiation, or that much is used. Then we cannot say that energy we can trap in one organism for permanently. So energy that does not remain trapped permanently in any organism. Okay. It is either passed on to the higher trophic level, or when the organism is dying, it is utilized by the decomposers, right? That herbivores that will feed on producers. Then part of that energy which is wasted in digestion and assimilation, there also some energy is getting wasted. Then some of that assimilated food, what will happen to that? It is broken down to release energy. For what purpose that energy is utilizing? For performing body activities. Then from that, a very small proportion that becomes the part of the body of that herbivores, because that is utilized for their body growth, that much, a very small part. Then these herbivores they are eaten by other organism like primary carnivores. So later by the secondary carnivores they'll be eaten. This primary carnivores they'll be eaten by secondary carnivores. So how it will be? This chain will get continued. So that energy flow in an ecosystem, that is always unidirectional or one way. It is one way. From here you can say, here plants are producing, then it is going in one direction, that is unidirectional. So solar radiation, how it is? From solar radiation it is moving to producer, then herbivorous, then to carnivore. Okay. So that energy which is passing from autotrophic plants to the herbivorous, that does not pass back to, or it won't come back. Okay. From the plants it will go to primary consumers. It is going to the consumers, but it won't come back. So that's why we are saying that it is unidirectional. The next, what we can say is, see, we are talking about energy, right? So this energy flow that is following what? Laws of thermodynamics. Laws of thermodynamics. So how we can apply that law of thermodynamics? Here, second law, I have mentioned the first law and second law, how it is applicable in this case, or how we can explain this with the help of laws of thermodynamics. So we know that here energy is getting utilized in which one? In this ecosystem. So that is basically, it is based on laws of thermodynamics. How we can explain? See, according to first law of thermodynamics, what is first law of thermodynamics? You have learned, right? You have learned about law of thermodynamics. What is the first law? According to first law, energy is neither created nor destroyed, but that can be transformed from one state to another state. That is the first law of thermodynamics, right? According to first law, energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but that can be transformed from one state to another state. Here, energy of sunlight that can be transformed, or the solar energy can be transformed into food and here heat, right? Solar energy is getting transferred in the form of food, then in the form of heat. Then, so that's why we are going to explain this with the help of first law. So first law is the basic one, right? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can be transformed from one form to another form. So here it's applicable. Solar energy is getting converted into food. So it is getting converted from one form to another form, right? So here, first law, we are able to explain. Next, according to second law of thermodynamics, no transfer of energy occurs unless and until it is accompanied by degradation. Degradation of energy from concentrated to dispersed form, right? So, second law of thermodynamics, what that is, according to second law of thermodynamics, no transfer of energy occurs unless and until it is accompanied by degradation of energy from concentrated to dispersed form. From concentrated form of energy, it is moving into a dispersed form. Otherwise, there is no transfer of, if energy is getting transferred from one form to another form, it occurs from the concentrated form to dispersed form, right? So the energy, there is a wastage of energy also. So the transfer of energy from one organism to another, that is accompanied by degradation and the loss of major part of food energy that is getting wasted here. See, you can see that in the form of heat. So energy of food, that is concentrated form, and the dispersed form, highly dispersed form is heat. Okay, so here what we can say, in second law, what we are saying, transfer of energy occurs unless and until it is accompanied by the degradation of energy from the concentrated form to the dispersed form. So here, transfer of energy is occurring. Here, you can see in all level, energy is getting transferred from the concentrated form. Here, concentrated form, transfer of energy from one organism to another organism, it is accompanied by the degradation and loss of major part of food energy. How it is getting wasted? In the form of heat. Wastage in the form of heat. And energy of food, the food energy, that is highly concentrated form. This is highly concentrated form, right? Then from that food, highly dispersed form is heat. Okay, concentrated form is food and dispersed form is heat. Here also concentrated form is food and dispersed form is heat. Okay, next we are going to talk about food chain. So what is food chain? Food chain means the chain form of food, right? From the term itself it's clear. It's like a chain. So food chain means it's a sequence of living organism that is involved. These organisms are involved in the transfer of food energy from the producers, and these energy transfer that is occurring through a series of organism with how it is getting transferred, with repeated eating and being eaten, that is called as food chain. Okay, so each level or each step in a food chain, their energy transfer occurs. So each step of energy it is taking place, and that is called as trophic level. What it is called as? It is called as trophic level. Okay, that each chain is called as trophic level. So in a food chain, what do you mean by food chain? The sequence of living organism, that sequence of living organism that is involving transfer of this food energy. The transfer of food energy is taking place from producer. Here you can see solar energy, it is captured by the plants and they are synthesizing food. And this energy, here you can see a grasshopper. This is a primary consumer that will eat this one, right? Then grasshopper, then comes the frog. This is the secondary consumer because it is consuming the primary consumer. So it is the secondary level of transfer, right? Then this frog, here tertiary consumer. So from here, first energy transferred to grasshopper, then energy is getting transferred to frog, then the same thing, that energy is flowing into the tertiary consumer, then final consumer here. Then comes the decomposer. Okay, there also energy transfer occurs. So sequence of living organism, these organisms are involved in the transfer of food energy from the producer. From the producer level, that transfer of food energy is taking place. Then it is taking place through a series of organisms. These all organisms, they are, how these organisms are involved? With repeated eating and being eaten. That is called as food chain. So each level or each step in a food chain where that transfer of energy is taking place, that is called as trophic level. Okay. So it is starting from the plants or the producers. Then all animals, here all animals that depends on plants, they are directly or indirectly they are depending upon plants. Which one? All animals, right? So they are called as consumers and they are called as heterotrophs because they are not synthesizing food in their own way. They are taking food from plants. So plants are directly synthesizing food. They are called as autotrophs, right? Plants are called as autotrophs And here animals, they are depending on plants for their food. So they are called as consumers. They are consuming from autotrophs or plants. And that's why they are called as heterotrophs. So if they feed on producers, the plants, they are called as primary consumers. If they feed on the producers, which are called as producers, plants are called as producers, so they are called as primary consumer. And if the animals eat other animal, which in turn eat the plants, they are called secondary consumers. Okay, so we have primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer. Primary consumer means they feed on producers or the plants. Okay, they are the primary consumer. Then if the animal eat other animal which is eating this producer, they are called as secondary consumer. And next level is tertiary consumer. So that primary consumer, here the question, or you will get confused in this point, primary consumer will be herbivore. It will be a herbivore. Okay, like insect, birds, mammals, these are the examples. And in aquatic ecosystem, how we can say mollusk? This mollusk, that is primary consumer in the case of aquatic ecosystem. This insects, birds, mammals, and all in terrestrial ecosystem, example for primary consumers. Then consumers that feed on these herbivores, they are called as carnivores. Okay, this primary carnivores and then they are called as carnivores. Like exactly we can say that primary carnivores. Then animals which are depending upon the primary carnivores, they are called as secondary carnivores. Okay, first primary, then secondary. So all these, why I am explaining, next topic onwards we are going to use these words. Like if I'm saying about primary carnivores, you should get an idea what is that, which level it will be, or how, what is the, what it is going to consume, whether it is going to eat a primary consumer. If I'm saying about a secondary consumer or primary carnivore or secondary carnivore, you should get an idea what it is. Okay, next is types of food chain. Okay, so mainly we are going to explain three types of food chain here. The first one is grazing food chain, then detritus food chain, then parasitic food chain. There are three types of food chain. Grazing food chain, GFC, grazing food chain. Then detritus food chain, that is DFC. Then parasitic food chain, PFC. These topics are important for NEET. Okay, such questions you will get in NEET. So this grazing food chain or GFC, they are otherwise called as predator food chain. It is otherwise called as predator food chain. Predator food chain. Grazing food chain or GFC, it is otherwise called as predator food chain. Next one is detritus food chain. Detritus food chain or DFC, it is otherwise called as saprophytic food chain. So first one, grazing food chain, is called as predator food chain. Detritus food chain, it is called as saprophytic food chain. Then last one, third one, parasitic food chain. It is otherwise called as auxiliary food chain. Auxiliary food chain. Okay. So grazing food chain, detritus food chain, and parasitic food chain. Grazing food chain is otherwise called as predator food chain. Detritus food chain is otherwise called as saprophytic. Then parasitic food chain or PFC, that is otherwise called as auxiliary food chain. The next, each one we are going to explain. First one is grazing food chain or GFC. Here in GFC or grazing food chain, you can see a producer, consumer, and decomposer. Producer, you can see a producer, then consumer, then decomposer. Here, the source of energy, here producers are there, right? In this grazing food chain, producers are there. So how these producers will get energy? From sun. So here, producers are getting energy, that is solar energy, or they are getting energy from sun. So grazing food chain consists of producer, consumer. Here producer is there, consumers are there, then decomposers. Okay. So here producer, consumer, and decomposer. So if producers are involved, they will utilize solar energy. Just think like that. Don't by heart all these things. Just use the common sense. Producers are there means they will use solar energy for the production of food. Okay. So here solar energy, involvement of solar or energy, solar energy is there. So sun is the source of energy in this food chain. Okay, first energy is starting from solar energy is the starting one. Then it is moving. That energy is flowing into different levels. Up to decomposers, it is reaching that same. In between, the wastage of energy will be there. While transferring from one form to another form, energy will get wasted. Whatever may be the starting, the solar energy is the starting point. Here, that primary producer PP, we'll mention it as PP. So they are autotrophic organisms, and these organisms can fix the solar energy and they'll manufacture their own food, and they are the basic, or they are forming the base of that food chain. So these will come in first trophic level or T1 level. Okay, primary producers. So primary producer, from this primary means they're the starting producer. They're the first producers. They are the producers in that grazing food chain. They'll produce by utilizing the solar energy. They are fixing, or they are producing the energy. They are utilizing that solar energy, and they are the autotrophic organisms. They are the plants, autotrophic organism, and these will fix up that solar energy and they'll manufacture their own food from inorganic raw materials. Right? From inorganic raw materials, they are synthesizing their own food. So they form the base of food chain, and they are constituting the first trophic level or T1 level. These are the T1 level. Okay. Next comes the primary consumers. Here, primary producers. These are producing. Here, primary consumers. They are utilizing. First, they are consuming. Okay. First, consumers. Primary consumers. We'll mention it as PC. Primary consumers. So these primary consumers will be definitely animals. So these animals, they are feeding on green plants. Okay. Here you can see. Disturbance is coming. Please mute that. So here primary consumers, what they will do, they are the animals and they are feeding on green plants or plant products they'll be eating. So they constitute second trophic level or T2. They are in the second trophic level. T2. Okay, this is the first trophic level 1, first trophic level, and this is the second trophic level. Primary consumers, they are coming in the second trophic level, T1, first trophic level. They are primary producers. Next is secondary consumers. Secondary consumers, SC, secondary consumers. So these secondary consumers, they are animals. Here, primary consumers, they are also animals. Here, secondary consumers, these are also animals. But these animals will feed on that herbivores and they form the third trophic level. These are coming in the T3 level, third trophic level, but these are also animals. The secondary consumers are also animals. They are feeding or they feed on herbivores and they form the third trophic level. Okay, next comes the tertiary consumers. Tertiary consumers or TC, tertiary consumers. These are secondary carnivores. These are also animals. Animals, and these animals, what they will do, they will feed on the secondary consumers. Secondary consumers, they are feeding on the secondary consumers and they are reaching on the fourth trophic level. Okay, here first trophic level, they are plants, they are the primary producers. Then these animals, which are primary consumers are animals and they consume the plant or plant products, but they are coming in the second trophic level. Okay, next, secondary consumers, primary consumers, secondary consumers and tertiary consumers, all are animals, but primary consumers, they are feeding on or they are utilizing the plant products, plant or plant products as their food. So they are coming in the second trophic level. Then secondary consumers, they are also animals, but these are eating these primary consumers. So it is coming in the second trophic level. Plants are coming in the trophic level 1. Primary consumers are coming in the second trophic level. Then secondary consumers. Here secondary consumers, here from the primary consumers, the secondary consumers are eating these primary consumers. Right? But secondary consumers are coming in third trophic level. Then this tertiary consumers, from secondary consumers, this energy, it is flowing into tertiary consumers because they are eating the secondary consumers. So they are coming in the fourth trophic level. So how we can explain? From primary producers, energy is flowing to primary consumers, then to secondary consumers, and then to tertiary consumers. Right? Primary producers to primary consumer, then from there to secondary consumer and to tertiary consumer. So this is trophic level 1, this is second trophic level, this is third trophic level, and this is fourth. Okay. So for terrestrial food chain, we can say grass. Grass will come in the primary producer. Then grasshopper, that is the primary consumer which consumes this grass, right? So that is coming in second trophic level. The next frog, next snake and eagle. First grass, then grasshopper, then frog, snake, eagle. So in that we can say T1, which is grass, first trophic level. T2. T2 means the primary trophic level 2, which is the primary consumer, that is grasshopper. See, from this how you will get question? You will get a food chain, like a terrestrial food chain you will get. From that they will ask in this which is coming in T2 level or T3 level, or which is the primary consumer, which is the secondary consumer, like that, or primary consumer in which trophic level it will come. Primary consumer will come in the second trophic level, and the secondary consumer that will come in the tertiary trophic level. Okay. Next is aquatic food chain. In aquatic food chain, that phytoplanktons, zooplanktons, small fish and large fish, like that it will come. So phytoplanktons, they are the primary producers. They will come in trophic level 1. Then zooplanktons, they are primary consumers. Then small fish, they are the secondary consumers, and large fish, they are the tertiary consumers. So that's all about grazing food chain. Next is detritus food chain. In detritus food chain, here you can see an example. For detritus food chain, here this is the example you can see. So this detritus food chain, that is starting with detritus or a dead organic matter. These are dead leaves. Here you can see dead leaves or dead organic matter. With that, this detritus food chain or DFC is starting. So this is made up of decomposers, which are heterotrophic organism, and mainly fungi and bacteria. Okay, this first level, it is made up of decomposers. So these decomposers mainly fungi and bacteria. So that will act on this dead matter. So therefore that food energy that is present in the detritus, that passed into them. So this detrivorous or decompose, these decomposers, they are consumed by some carnivores. Here you can see these, it is eaten by some carnivores. Then it will become food for larger carnivores. Okay, so that's how it is passing, that energy is passing. So detritus or a dead matter in that food chain, detritus that is eaten by earthworm, then it is going to sparrow, then to falcon, like that. That food chain, that energy is passing from one level to another level. Next is, so here from the dead matter it is starting. Okay, so these are all the questions in detritus food chain. The starting level, that is detritus or the dead matter. Okay, then it is going to primary detritus feeder, then secondary detritus feeder. Next is parasitic food chain or the auxiliary food chain. Here, in this parasitic food chain, what you can see, size of the organism. Here mainly we need to say about size of the organism. In parasitic food chain, size of the organism that finally reduces at higher trophic level. At higher trophic level, the organism, size of that organism is getting reduced, or it will be very small in higher level. Like starting from a tree. Then herbivores, birds we can see. Then it is going to bugs. So these are the parasitic level. Okay. See, when we are giving like grass, from this, what level of questions you can expect for NEET exam means, they'll give grass, then rabbit, wolf, tiger. Then they can ask a question, which type of food chain is this? Okay. Here, simply we are writing grass, then rabbit, wolf, tiger. Here 4 organisms they are given. Which type is this? Here we can say this is grazing food chain because here plants are there. These are the primary producers. And here they are asking rabbit. It is coming under which trophic level? See, grass, this is the T1, trophic level 1, first trophic level. They are the primary producers. Here, rabbit, it is eating this grass or plant or the plant product. So it is called as, or it is in the second trophic level, right? Then you will get another type of question. I have already told here primary, which is the primary carnivore, primary carnivorous animals, which is that primary one. Here this wolf, this rabbit, wolf is eating this rabbit. Then that is the primary, coming under primary carnivores. So in that wolf, it is coming under trophic level 3. So what is the trophic level of primary carnivores? So you should have an idea which is a primary carnivore and what is the trophic level. And they are primary carnivore means they are the secondary consumers. Here this is producer, grass is the producer, then this rabbit is the primary consumer. First that is consuming, right? Then wolf, this is secondary consumer. Secondary consumer is coming in third trophic level. Okay. Next, here just now I said the same thing. Here we need to explain different diagrammatic representation of trophic levels in an ecosystem. In an ecosystem, different trophic levels are there. So organism, they'll occupy a place in the natural surroundings or in a community according to their feeding relationship with other organisms. So how they are getting in different levels, getting into that levels according to their feeding relationship with other organism. So based on the source of their nutrition or source of food, these organisms occupy a specific place in the food chain. This specific place in the food chain, that is called as trophic level. Based on the feeding habit, based on the food or based on the source of food or nutrition, they'll occupy a particular place or particular space in the food chain. That is called as trophic level. So this producers, they belongs to first trophic level. Here you can see primary producer, they are into first trophic level. For example, we can say tree, grass, phytoplankton, all these are primary producers. They are coming under first trophic level. Generally, we can say plants. Then from primary producers, energy is flowing to primary consumers. These are the first consumers, primary consumers. And they are heterotrophs. From here onwards, we can see heterotrophs. Plants, only here, primary producers, they are the autotrophic. Other all consumers, they are coming under heterotrophic. Okay. So second, primary consumers are coming under second trophic level. Zooplankton, cow, grasshopper, all these are coming under primary consumer, but they are belonging to second trophic level. Then secondary consumers belonging to third trophic level. They are the carnivores. Okay, bird, fishes, wolf, and all examples for that. Then tertiary consumers are belonging to fourth trophic level. They are the top carnivores like man, lion, and all. They are the top carnivores. Got it? So here this detritus food chain, that may be that it is connected with the grazing food chain. In some levels, we can say that. So some of the organism of this detritus food chain, they are prey. They are prey to the grazing food chain animals. Grazing food chain animals, they are eating, not all, some animals of grazing food chain, they are eating the organisms of detritus food chain. Okay, so in ecosystem, there is a linear food chain. Sometimes there is not no constant food chain, like rarely that exists. Why? Because every organism that will be having an alternate source of food, right? If one type of organism is not there, means it doesn't have a meaning that another organism will never eat. That will be having another alternative source of food. So an animal, some type of animals, they may have preference for a particular type of organism which they are eating. But if that particular selection, that particular animal, if it is not there, or that source is not there, means that will definitely depend upon some other prey. So single animal may be eaten by different animals. So different food chain that will get interconnected, right? And that any animal that will be linked in more than one food chain. So the network of that interconnected food chain, which are at different trophic level, that is called as, so in a community it is interconnected, right? Here you can see all these organisms are interconnected. This frog, some birds may eat, and that same bird that may prefer butterfly also. So like that, it is interconnected, all these, right? Same plant will be eaten by different types of animals. primary consumers, different primary consumers will be using same plant. So all these food chains, or these are interconnected. So that is called as food web. Okay. So this kind of food web which is occurring in this community or in the ecosystem, that is giving stability to that ecosystem. So food web, how it is getting operated, this food web, it is depending upon the taste preference of food. Okay. How it is working, this food web? See, this organism or this animal that may prefer this particular, here the second particular organism. Why? Because that will be, sometimes it will be tasty. Even human beings, they have preference. See, we are eating some kind of non-veg, we are preferring one particular item because we are preferring that taste, right? Some are preferring vegetables because they like that taste. Some are preferring non-veg because they are, for them that taste is good. So that's how there is a preference in the case of this food web, or the particular choice of organism, or sometimes due to food unavailability, due to that also these preferences may change. Okay. So one animal that may feed upon organisms of even different trophic levels organism, like snake may feed upon mice and frog. So like that, different organism may use same food. Okay. These are all the general concepts of ecosystem. Like different organisms, they have different tastes, but and different organism may use the same organism for food also. That and all depending upon, it is that preference may be due to the taste, or sometimes the food unavailability. When food is not available, when the preferred food is not available, that also may lead to the same reason. That one organism is preferring another organism's preferred food, because that won't be having a particular food, or whichever is the favorite of that particular animal, that won't be available. So it will move to another one. Next concept is 10% law of energy transfer. So in this, in 1942, Lindemann, he proposed this concept. So the transfer of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level, that is accompanied by laws of energy, right? From one, from this source, when it is moving to plants, there are also some laws in the form of heat, right? So when first trophic level, when it is moving to second trophic level, there also energy losses there. So at each level, loss of energy is there. So when the plants are eaten by herbivore, about 10% of energy in the food is fixed into animal flesh, while 90% is consumed in ingestion, respiration, then body maintenance, heat, and such activities. Okay. Same like that, when a carnivore is consuming a herbivore, again 10% of energy is getting fixed. Only 10%. When that energy is flowing from one level to another level, 10% is getting fixed. Okay. So at each transfer, only 10% of the total energy is actually available to the next trophic level. This is called as 10% low. Okay, only 10% of the energy is transferred into each trophic level from the lower trophic level. Okay, from the lower one, when it is moving to the higher level also, only 10% is getting fixed. Remaining and all, it is utilized for respiration, ingestion, then body maintenance, then heat. In all these forms, remaining energies are utilized. Okay. So you can see residual energy decrease within 2 to 3 trophic levels. Okay. So as a result, an ecosystem can support only a limited number of trophic levels, like 3 to 5. Then respiratory loss, I said it is utilizing for respiration, then as heat, then for body maintenance, everything they are utilizing that energy. So respiratory loss that gradually increases in successive trophic levels. Respiratory loss is increasing. How it is? It is like 20%, 30%, 60%, like producer, consumer, and top carnivore level, it is at 60%. Okay. First trophic level producer, they are the plants, and second trophic level here, they are the primary consumers. These are herbivores. Then third trophic level consumers, they are the carnivores. Next, fourth trophic level or tertiary consumers, they are the top carnivores. But everywhere you can see loss of energy in the form of heat. So this is the diagrammatic representation of flow of energy through different trophic levels. Okay. Next is here you can see standing state or quality. Standing state. What is standing state? Standing state means the amount of all the inorganic substances which is present in an ecosystem per unit area at a given time. Okay. What is that? Amount of all the inorganic substances which is present in the ecosystem per unit area at a given time. Then standing crop. What is standing crop? Standing crop means that amount of living material which is present in different trophic level at a given time. So this standing crop, what is that? At a given time, the amount of living material present in different trophic level. The living material which is present in different trophic level at a given time. Okay, this is expressed in the numbers or biomass of organism per unit area. Numbers or the biomass of organisms per unit area. So the biomass of a species which is expressed in terms of, how we will express the biomass? In terms of dry weight or fresh weight. Biomass, how we can express biomass? Biomass is expressed in terms of fresh or dry weight. So the measurement of biomass in terms of dry weight, it is more preferred. Why? It is best to avoid that variation in the weight due to seasonal moisture difference in the biomass. See, if you are taking the fresh weight, it depends upon climate. That water level or the moisture content in that. that will vary. It depends upon climate. In summer season, moisture content will be less, right? So the biomass, that will vary. So that's why we are preferring the dry weight. To compare, we are preferring the dry weight. Dry weight means that moisture content won't be there. So every time, whenever it is there, we can compare it, and that value will be same, or that is the best way to compare the biomass. That due to moisture, that difference won't be there. To avoid that variation in weight due to seasonal moisture difference in biomass, that's why we are preferring dry weight. Okay. So these are some general concepts which we need to learn in this chapter, ecology. Then next we need to learn about ecological pyramid, that we'll learn in the next class. So hope up to this it is clear. So in the next class we'll learn about ecological pyramid. There are different types of ecological pyramid, and from that definitely you will get one question for your exam. There are different types of pyramid which you may get confused. Okay, so that we will learn in the next class. So hope up to this everything is clear. If you have go through all these portions, if you have any doubt, you can ask me in the next class. Thank you.